know that no matter what's going on in the world or around you, you can have peace and control inside yourself, and that the way you react to things makes a big difference in the way things will react around you. So if you learn when to speak up and when to be quiet, and I love the way that you can express yourself and put things into words to let people know how you feel and about the things you find interesting and exciting. That will help you a lot in your life. The main thing is to keep loving life, and even on bad days, there are always good things, and there's always beauty. Wherever you are, you can find one beautiful thing anywhere you are. And if you look for that and find your peace inside of you, then you'll be all right, no matter what else happens. And I'm so proud of the way you have been such a help to everybody around you, and you are bright and cheerful most of the time. And I love the way you have your elfies and your animals and your different things you do, your hobbies, and the way you try different foods, and it is such a help in life when you learn to be willing to try things. But do be careful also to make sure that you stay safe and well, and don't let other people affect your ability to cope with things. I have seen you do that several times on the videos and the pictures I see on Facebook, and I love it because you are so young yet, and yet you're so grown up in so many ways. And that will help you if you don't try to grow up too fast. Enjoy every year and enjoy being the age you are each year. Don't try to rush, because you can go forward really quickly, but you can never go back. And that's why the world's so messed up and so many wars and trouble today, because so many people rush to be grown up, and now they're trying to be kids in grown-up bodies. So take your time and enjoy each year, each day, even each minute you can enjoy and get something out of it. Even if it's not a happy time, you can find something to learn or to make your life better later, even if it isn't the best right at the time. And I like that you have fun with your cousins when you get a chance to be with them, and that you take part in school things when they have activities you can go to. And that'll be a good help to you to learn to mix with people and talk to people and share activities. And what have I missed?
you saw her doing some aerial silks and
Oh,
some Lyra.
Your daddy said, let me see your aerial silk exercise, and you're amazing on those. I couldn't believe the things you can do, and I know how much it hurts when you first especially start, but that it keeps hurting. But I love that you know some things are worth a little pain,
Yeah.
and you can teach your body and your mind to work for you, even through a little pain. And that will help you also later in life when your bones start wearing out and you have pain. It will help you to be able to put your mind in a different place, and not have to live on drugs and painkillers. That's been a big help to me. When I was younger, I could even get my teeth drilled and bones set without having to have shots or anesthetic, and now I can't even have aspirin or Tylenol or anything. So I just have to learn to put my mind on a different place and live through the pain. And the things I learned when I was growing up have helped me to be able to do that. So I want you to remember while you're doing things that that's going to help you later too. But I love the way you can make even hard stretching things look so easy and beautiful, because you've worked at it and kept practicing. And that's the secret of life, is to just keep at it till it becomes easy for you, but not expect to be able to just move in and do everything with no effort. Usually things that don't take any effort aren't worth anything either.
Yeah.
And so remember, when things are hard, that if you keep working at them, it will be a reward. Sometimes it takes a while, but the reward is greater the longer you work. So just keep at it and make sure that you pick good goals, and then really work at them and give them a chance to work for you.
Since Brooklyn never got a chance to hear from Super Papa, do you think there's anything he would share with her?
Oh, yes. Super Papa would have loved to get to know you. He had such a delight in people that were interested in learning and wanted to do things and willing to work to learn. And he would have told you to keep at it and to enjoy each thing that you're doing, and to remember that that's going into your memory computer and it will come back to you later. And even people that get Alzheimer's, after they're through living, all those things will be in your memory and will be available. The wisdom and the moves and things come back. So Papa would, well, Super Papa, not Papa Webb, but he would just have loved to see you try different foods. And that was something he really enjoyed, was to experiment making and trying different things to eat. And he would love the way you look at the countries and learn about the places the foods come from. And I'm so happy that you're doing that too.
Do you have any favorite memories of Super Papa?
Oh, my favorite memory of Super Papa is when he took all the kids and he would take them camping, and people were amazed that he could take 10 or 12 kids at the same time, different ages, and they all had fun, and they learned, but they had such a good time, and they always wanted to go again. And he taught them to roast hot dogs and marshmallows in our fireplace. You don't want to try that in fireplaces now. But we had an old fireplace that didn't mind having a few drips in it. And he kept it cleaned and kept it good in between. But we made breakfasts and ate around the fireplace in the living room on the floor. We would sit and he would cook the breakfast and pass it out. And we had hot dogs and s'mores. But his best thing was when we were outside, he would dig pits in the ground and he would make, he took aluminum foil and he put a patty of meat, thin piece of meat, and then if you liked onion, he put onion slices, he put potato, and he always cooked the onions and carrots a little bit so they wouldn't be too hard and would roast. And then he put them in the foil and wrapped it tight and put them in pits in the ground. And he built the fire quite a while before, so the ground was all roasty and warm. And then he would time them, and you could begin to smell that cooking as the meat got done and the vegetables began to blend with it. And by the time it was ready, everybody was standing around, even the neighbors, or the people at the next camp would come. And he always had a few extra packets and passed them out. But those, we called them hobo dinners, and they were some of our favorite eating. And the grandkids that were here when he was alive still remember. Yeah. Your daddy remembers some of those times, and Jess and the older ones, and
Jess and Chris.
Ask Papa Webb, he remembers those fondly. But we had such a good time wherever he was, and people would always gather and want to come where we were because he told wonderful stories about flying dragons and all these exciting things that happened. And he could tell you about any plant or flower, and if he didn't know about it, he would go immediately and look it up. Oh, I have to tell you, Super Papa did all his reading in the encyclopedia. He would read those instead of a book, and he went through every one of the Encyclopedia Britannica. What did they call those? No, books. Anyway, he had read every one of them that were issued by the time he died.
They're like volumes. They had a set
Volumes.
Of volumes. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, they called them volumes then. And I haven't looked at any encyclopedias. Do they still have them with the internet?
Yeah, I have a neat set I'm trying to get a hold of again. I lost it. And
we always had the latest one at our house, but when we sold our house and moved, then I gave the encyclopedias away to the family, and I've not had any since. But Papa could tell you most of them by heart and could recite them back to you and tell you about anything that was in there. After he thought a minute, it was like he was turning pages of the encyclopedia in his mind and could tell you the information that was in there. And it was so fun to watch him and to listen to him. And he went up every year for I think 29 years to Mill Hollow, which was a summer camp for school children. And he took hikes with them. He taught them about the nature things. And they asked for him back every single year, all those years. And he even went the last year after he was sick. He had a hard time, but he said it was still such fun. So even when you're ill, when you have interesting things in your mind and in your memory bank, then you can pull on those and pull them out. Even if you don't have a memory like Papa's, you can remember a lot of things. And it will help you wherever you are. If you have to be in a room, or if you're grounded, or if you're having to wait for someone a long time, you can just shut your eyes and go in your memory and think of the good, interesting things, and the time goes so much quicker. Yeah. And that's what Papa taught us. So I think that you would have loved him. He was a hero in the war, but he never told us about the things he'd done. We had to learn when his general that commanded them came to visit way after the war, then we learned some of the things he did. But I think you would have really liked him and enjoyed being with him too. And I hope I get to enjoy being with you. You're the only grandchild or great-grandchild, even my brothers and sisters' children. I've always met all of them except you. So I'm really hoping that I get to meet you soon. And I just would love to see you do your things in real life, not just in picture videos. But I hope by then I look a little better than I do now. But I hope that you've learned that looks don't matter so much as the way you feel and the way you can be friends no matter how old you are or how different you are. You can learn to have a point of interest and a way to talk together. And even if you disagree with someone, you can learn to talk to them without fighting most of the time if you really work at it. And actually that's something Super Papa taught us too, that there's almost always a point of agreement, and you can be civil, which means get along and talk together without arguing, even if you can't agree on things. You can disagree politely and happily and meet together without it being a battle. And that's a really important lesson. That's helped me more in my life than anything else I ever learned, I think.
Is there such thing as being bored?
We don't believe in bored in our family. We believe bored is something people made up to get attention. When people tell us they're bored, we know that they just don't want to get busy and find something to do. And so we assign them something to learn to get involved in. But you'll find if you sit around being bored, you'll never have any fun in your life. You can waste your time doing that, or you can just jump in and make life unboring and have the best time, even on a very, very slow and even a sick day. You can find something to have fun with and to enjoy and to give you a great peace of mind. So I hope that you make boring a swear word and you don't use it very often, except to tell people that isn't a good way to be at all.
Why yay for the American flag?
Oh my goodness. Our American flag is so wonderful. Our country, even now, with all the dirty politics that are going on and the people that have tried to run it, our country is so wonderful that people died to get in here, trying to escape from other countries to come here. And even the people that say how horrible we are do their best to get assigned here and come here to live, while they're telling people how bad we are. They keep coming back to be able to live here, because even in the worst slum, we're better than almost any other place on earth. We have the freedom to walk from house to house or from place to place without papers, without permission, without fear most of the time. There are some people in our country that try to force what they believe on others. And there are some people that use very ugly, bad, hurtful things on people. But if you have peace of mind, and if you live here in our country, you can almost always get help. Someone almost always will come if you let them know you're in trouble. And that doesn't happen in a lot of places. It's so great, even with all the laws and all the things the bad politicians have passed, our Constitution is still the most wonderful thing that was ever written, and it's used as an example all over the world. And let me tell you one thing that really impressed my sister and I. She had a small house, but it had 4 bedrooms, and it had 2 bathrooms, and it had a kitchen and a front room. And even though it was old, she had fixed it and painted it and had it flowers out front and things, trees in the yard. But she had learned that her son, who had been on a mission in Mexico, had people from his mission after he came home. This family was going to come visit, and there were 5 of them. And so my sister hurried around and she cooked and cleaned, and she made the 2 bedrooms as nice as she could and fixed 1 bathroom just for them and arranged things so there were snacks and things for the 3 days they would be there. And she was so embarrassed at how few towels and how little space, and that there would be 5 of them trying to sleep, and she washed all her sheets and blankets and got them her very best bedding in the room for them, but she was ashamed of it. They came and they walked in the front door, and their mouths fell open and they knelt down on the floor and started to cry. And they said, "This is your house?" And she said, "Well, I know it isn't very big, but," and they said, "You have this big house all to your family, just your family, live in this house?" And she said, "Well, yes, it's our home." And they said, "Where we come from, 8 families would be in this big a building. And you are so lucky." And they couldn't believe that they had 2 bedrooms just for the 5 of them, and a bathroom all for them. And they couldn't believe there was a toilet that flushed. They didn't care that it was old and that the things in it weren't new, but she had one and it worked. And they just went from place to place, touching everything and looking. And then they came out, and my sister always had a flag standing in a vase, a small flag, about a foot high, in a big vase in her living room. And they stood there and clapped for our flag. And then they walked away, but then they kept turning back and just saying, "You are so lucky. You are so lucky." And then they would go in and out the door and say, "You don't have to have permission to go outside. You don't have to have permission to walk down the street. You don't have to have a fence to hold you in with barbed wire." And they could not believe the things that we're able to do here. So from that time on, we had always loved our flag, and we've always loved our country. When I grew up, when my whole family grew up, it was after the Depression, which was a terrible time when everybody lost their businesses and their money, worse than it is now. And a lot of people committed suicide, and it had been a terrible several years. And then we started picking berries and fruit and traveling. As soon as school was out, we would travel the whole summer until school started. And when we ended with picking hops, which is what they make beer and things like that with. But that was our best money maker, was when we could pick hops. And it was right close by where we lived, so we didn't have to travel long ways. But as we came from the hop field and drove toward our home, there was a huge American flag flying off the building, and all of us would yay and clap, and then we would think of all the things we were grateful for in our country. And even back then, we appreciated it. But then after Marilyn and I saw these Mexican people who had grown up, even the adults, had never had anything anywhere like we have in our country. And we learned through, since then, talking to people from all different countries, that ours is the best anywhere. And if we live our laws, we don't need any more laws. If we lived our Constitution, we wouldn't need half the laws we have, because it's all written in the Constitution. To obey the traffic laws, even, all those things are included in the things that are in our Constitution. So we need to learn what it says and what it means, and then to fight and stand up and speak out to the people that are trying to tear down our country and to take away our history and to make us forget how lucky we are to live in this country and have that flag as our symbol of freedom. We don't worship the flag, but we love it, and we are so grateful to Heavenly Father and to Jesus for giving us the flag and the country and saving it so that we could live in such a beautiful place and have freedom here.
Yeah. What does it mean to go crazy?
When your daddy was a little boy, I was tending all of his family and 3 other children, plus our twins and Michelle, a good amount of the time. And we had an old broken down car, and I needed to do different errands and things, and the kids always were anxious and hyper, so I would put them in the car, and we had Play-Doh and we had all these different things to do, but we also would, when they'd say, "Where are we going? Where are we going?" I'd say, "Okay, now we're going to go crazy." And we would go do all the errands, zigzagging around and going from place to place, and we would have a treat in between, or we would play a game in between. Sometimes I would let them get out and run a minute when they were getting too jumpy, but mostly they would be good because they liked going crazy. And it turned a dutiful chore into a fun time, and it let me have a little peace to think what I was doing, because they were having so much fun about thinking what they wanted to do to be crazy next. And so that's still a thing my The oldest grandkids even say when they come through the door, "Are we going crazy today?" And so that's been a fun thing in our family from the very beginning of when we had our own family.
What does it mean to have war?
Oh, we don't have war very often. I'm very grateful. Our family learned early. I can put up with a lot of things, but I had to have a certain amount of control, and so we usually had a count of 3, and they got a chance to try again, but if I had to count 3, they knew there was going to be war. And that meant we didn't do anything, and Nana was really upset, and we didn't have any fun for quite a while. And sometimes I had to sit on them. That didn't happen very often. But they learned early that wasn't a good thing. I don't think I ever spanked anybody, and I have always hated slapping. Slapping to me is an insult and a coward's way of dealing. I hate slapping. I did one time spank. Well, I shouldn't say that. I spanked your Papa Webb when he was growing up till he was about 7 or 8. He had to be spanked every once in a while. And all I had to do was smack his bottom about 4 times. And then he would be happy the rest of the time. He was remarkably easy to get along with, but he reached a time about once a month when he needed a spanking. And so I did that, but most of the other kids until Rob, Uncle Rob, I didn't have to do that. But war was a whole different thing, and that everybody learned very quickly that when we said, if there's any more, there's going to be war, then it would become very peaceful, and everybody would find something very nice to do for a while, and we would go back to being a happy family. Yes. But you don't want to have war. Even when I'm 90, you don't want to have war.
Well, this will be the last question for today, but how is it possible to love someone so much when you have so many grandkids and so many great-grandkids?
Oh my
and
goodness.
great. How do you still love Brooklyn so much with so many kids?
Well, I'll tell you. When I got married, and since then, I've had a bunch of brothers and sisters. There were 12 of us, and we all had children, and they've had children, so I had all of them. And then I got married, and we had 9 children of our own, including identical twins. Then they had children, and we had 31 grandchildren, and we now have 37 3/4 great-grandchildren, and you're one of those, but we only have 1 Brooklyn Ada Webb, and there'll never be another one, not only not in our family, but anywhere else. So you're a gem and a needed part of our necklace, and we couldn't do without you. If I never get to see you, I will still love you from the pictures and your wonderful phone calls and your videos. I love those videos with your pets and your Elfies and your things you make, and especially now with your climbing the silks. But no matter what you're doing and how old you are and how far away you are special to me. But I would so love to see you and to give you a hug while I still can. And I miss you, even though I've never gotten to see you in person. I just miss you like you're a very everyday part of my life, because you live in my heart and you're a part of Papa, Super Papa's life too, because I talk to him all the time, even though he's gone. And he helps me a lot, and you have to know, if you know me, that the people on the other side, the older you get, the closer they get to you. And they aren't, heaven isn't that far away. And they know what you're doing, and they love you just as much, or actually, they love you more, because they can see your real heart, and they know you inside and out, and they just know how special you are. But I have a great yearning. I'm 90 years old, plus September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. So 8 months into being 91, and I still am hoping to live long enough that I get to actually touch you and hold you and see your beautiful face here in my apartment, or someplace here in Utah where I can get at you, because I cannot travel. Right now, I can't even get to your Papa Webb's place in Salt Lake. But I would go and do anything I need to do to be able to see you in person before I'm on the other side and get to see you from there. But I hope that your cute mama will remember the fun times we had on the phone. I never got to see her either in person, but she was very sweet to me, and she talked to me and sent me beautiful letters that I still have. And I just am sad that we can't share you and see you, and that you can't be with your other aunts and uncles on your side and on ours. And so I'm hoping that Heavenly Father is going to make that happen. But no matter what happens, you will always be a part of my life. And I'm hoping I'm going to be a part of yours, besides just being an ugly old lady that keeps calling in the middle of your dinner time. And thank you, Lovey, and stay well and grow strong and healthy, and enjoy your showing off what you can do on your silks.
Okay.